Hi, welcome back to Over the Class. I am your host, Ness.
And I'm Jay.
Oh man, today might be rough. My Wi-Fi is a little laggy. Okay, so the last time we were here, we were giving an update on our guesses of our hopes of who was going to make it past to the Eastern Conference final between Toronto and Florida, and then my silly ass was like, oh, whoever goes through, I bet Carolina is just gonna win the conference final and make it to the Stanley Cup final. And here we are a week later, and I was very wrong.
Yeah,
So,
the Florida Panthers
yeah, I'm
listen
sure
to
y'all
this
have been
podcast.
keeping track. He said, let's show you up.
Yep. They were like, I will take that and raise you a 3-0 series lead.
Insane. Meanwhile, Dallas and Edmonton are tied at 1-1. I believe at the time of this recording, they are starting their game, or they will be playing while we're recording. But that one seems to be a little bit more evenly matched. I have not had the time to catch any of these games, unfortunately, but maybe this week. Tomorrow's a holiday, so maybe I'll catch something tomorrow.
Yeah, I really haven't been catching too many of these games, to be honest.
Yeah, no, there's no time. Well, I guess technically there is, because there's not as many hockey games, but we're not rooting for any of them. All right, you wanted me to watch this video. Should I share it? Am I sharing my screen for this?
That would probably be a good idea, so people can also hear what you're going to be watching.
There's just not a reaction of my face to it. That's fine. All right. Share my screen. Share my window. There we go. Okay. How much of this am I watching?
You'll know.
Okay.
Just play it. You'll know.
All right. So for those of you listening, I will be watching a video on YouTube posted by TSN. It's called "What's Your Take on Mitch Marner's Comments at Locker Cleanouts?" So here we go.
He'll be 35 years old in September, and he had a great regular season. And I have no doubt he'll have a very good regular season next year. The issue is hyper-focused to what happens in the playoffs. That's what the focus should be with the Maple Leafs and the Maple Leafs front office. It's not about going scorched earth and rebuilding. That's not going to happen.
Oh no, my internet sucks.
Marner leaves and Tavares leaves, this team doesn't become San Jose overnight. They still have both goalies signed. They have all...
That's so rude. Why would he say that?
6 defensemen signed. They still have Matthews and Nylander and Nyes, Berube behind the bench, and a ton of cap space. They'll still be a playoff team next year and very good. It's about molding this team. And I think that's why you got to move off John Tavares.
So I can't hear it, so I'm assuming you've already gotten to that part. You don't need to watch the rest of it.
Where he says that they're not going to become San Jose overnight.
Yeah, I was like, so for some context, after the Leafs completely just walked out of that game 7, like that was okay. I went into that game, so this had been the only Leafs game I have watched for the duration of the playoffs. It's not necessarily something I seek out, but given that it was game 7, they were on the brink of potentially getting into the conference finals, I figured, why not? Why don't I watch this moment? And I went in with no particular, feelings for one team or the other. I had messaged a friend who'd been watching more of these games, and I just wanted to know his vibes, because if you go back a couple of weeks, we were not very high on the Leafs. We figured they would yet again, like they've done in many, many previous playoffs, they've exited in the first round, and their fan base implodes. The city of Toronto is on the edge of disaster. Like it's a whole thing, right? So they made it out of the first round, and we're like, okay, but
Right.
like, did that the previous season, and they didn't really go too far outside of that. And then they started winning these games, And then I started getting curious, and then, enter game 7. I asked my friend, so do you feel like they're gonna win, just like based off of like what you've seen? And he said yes. And so I trusted that, he's not a Leafs fan. He's taken it, with as minimal bias as possible. And I went into that game thinking, okay, the Leafs are going to show me that they're in it to win it. They did not get their first shot on goal for like, I want to say it was at least past the 10-minute mark. And most of the first half of that first period was in the Leaf zone. And every time they got the puck, they barely made it out of like the neutral zone before the Leafs, for the Panthers took over again, and they were right back in their zone. They just kept attacking. And then the few chances that they did end up getting in that first period, it was kind of like one of those, you found a little opening, you got a semi breakaway, but Warsofsky's in net, he's on his game, and it's just a shot on net. It's just an attempt on net, and then it's right back into the Leaf zone for the next couple of minutes, and you really have to feel like, well, they certainly don't want to come out in the second period looking like that. I think they didn't start getting going with the one goal that they scored in that game until like the third period. And I went into that third period feeling like, okay, well, like they just need, I think they went into the third period, if my memory serves me correctly, they were down like 3 goals or something. So it's still doable, right? Like we've seen it happen before, and they just need the one goal. You need the one goal to get the team going, to feel, you're in the game, and just look at it as just go out there, get the next goal. You don't have to think about, we need to score 3. Just think about one goal at a time. Well, they scored the one goal, and then the Panthers immediately came back, and then they scored another one. And at one point, the commentators, I think this was on TSN, wherever you were viewing it from, I think it was like national broadcast and whatever. And at one point, the broadcasters were talking about like Mitch Marner needs to get out there and do something. I'm like, oh no, the same story over and over again. And then they ended up not winning. I think the final score was like 6-1. And like I was telling my friend after the first period, like, I don't really see what you're seeing. And they spent majority of that time defending. Like they could barely get out of the neutral zone. And he was like super optimistic. He's like, hey, well, that's half the game. And I'm like, yeah, sure. But the other half of it is the offense side. And they did none of that. So like the Panthers were doing both. They were playing a complete game. But even in the third, I won't say, I was rooting for the Leafs, but I was hoping they would show some of what I was being told, that, the reason why they're like, you forced game 7, whatever. And then I was thinking, okay, yeah, sure, they're down like 3-4 goals, but like, remember the Sharks in Vegas? I mean, they just did a major penalty and then score, the 4 goals in 5 minutes. Like, I mean, it's a rarity, but we can't quite say just yet that it can't happen. And then, of course, it didn't happen, right? And then, as we talked about last week, since we recorded on Sunday before the game, we were thinking about like the hypotheticals of like, if they make it into the conference final, potentially make it all the way, or if they get knocked out here, like what does that mean for their franchise moving forward? And from this clip that we watched earlier, it looks like Marner's probably out the door. Like the way that I caught clips and reactions from his locker clean out. He kind of, the way he was talking sounded very past tense. Like he's already in that mindset of like, he's probably not here. whether that's more in his control versus the Leafs. It kind of feels like, just from all these sort of reactions from the ones that I've been sort of watching, are like more Canadian based platforms. And I haven't seen anybody talking about Mitch Marner coming back to the Leafs next season. Like, it just seems like unofficially official that everyone's preparing for him to have played his last game in the Leafs uniform. And then, we're talking about whether Tavares would be coming back because he's also a UFA. And then they moved on from their president, Brendan Shanahan, this past week. What are the things that they do? Well, yeah, I mean, it's no surprise, but it is really interesting given that clip we just watched. They're like comparing it to the Sharks. Like, they're not going to look like the Sharks if they get rid of Marner and get rid of Tavares. And I was like, hey, excuse me. Like,
what did we do? Like, why do you bring our name into this?
Explain yourself. Excuse me, I'm feeling attacked.
We're over here trying to enjoy our off season, excited for the future. Y'all gotta be over here running our name through the dirt. That's so rude.
Yeah. How do you feel after that random just like you're just casually watching this clip, just wondering what the Leafs are gonna do, and they come over and they just pull the chair from under you?
No, for real. I was like, no, I don't know if you heard my reaction. I said, that's so rude. Why would he say that? What are the Sharks doing to you? Leafs fans, or, well, media people also, but like Leafs, anyone associated with the Leafs are such haters. Leave us alone. We're doing our best over here.
Like, look, if you're trying to like compare in any way to like the timeline between, of course, we've had a lot of success and then we didn't get the cup, but we did make it up until the conference finals a number of times. We did get up to the cup finals once. So like, you wish you were us, okay? Like,
doing better than the Leafs. No, right. We'll be up there sooner than the Leafs at this rate, Like, there's no need for that hate.
Okay, so revisiting, because we did talk about this.
Okay.
We did talk about this maybe like a month or so ago when it was kind of recirculating around. How do you feel now with the conversation of people wondering if Mitch Marner's going out onto the free agency market, and your feelings about him potentially ending up on the Sharks, or just the idea of him maybe being in those conversations?
I think my feelings are relatively the same. I don't think Greer would make a trade for him if he does go on the market. I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world for him to sign. It would probably be the biggest / longest contract Greer signed since he's taken over. But like, Marner's a hell of a player. Like, you can't be mad at him adding someone like him to the team. Imagine Marner and Celebrini on the same line. Like, they would do some crazy things together. And if not with him, Smith is also on the second line. Like, it's either way. I don't think it would be bad for the Sharks if they get him. Yes. If they don't, fine. What's our loss? Like, we stick to our plan.
Yeah, I think I'm still feeling the same way that I did when we initially talked about it. I mean, the Leafs, in comparison in this context with the Sharks were very successful in the regular season for a long, long time. Mitch Marner had a career high this season of just over like 100 points. So there's no doubting that this guy can do what he needs to do out on the ice. It's just the reality that the regular season kind of means nothing at the end of the day once you get into the playoffs. No one cares that you did so well in the regular season. No one is toting if you got the President's Trophy for the regular season. At the end of the day, it is the Stanley Cup. That's what everybody's trying to go for. And at a certain point, even if you manage to go to the conference finals every year for like 4 or 5 years under the same core, the same management, I think even at that point, you're still considering what changes can we make to get over the hump? Because even at the conference final level, well, it's still not the Stanley Cup. So we've done nothing successful if we're going to be honest about it, right? So I think my only concern with bringing in someone like Marner is just that he would be like, if he's still on the trajectory of the amount that he made on his last contract, he would be like the highest paid player on our roster. And to what you said earlier about like he'd be like the longest contracted player, that would also be my hesitation as well. Of course, he is a player that has shown that he is worthy of a contract and playing at this level of the game and all that stuff, but like we have not signed anyone past what, like Toffoli had the longest one with us signed when he came in, what, 4 years. I mean, if you're obviously when you bring in a player, you have the ability to sign that player for the longest out of any other team, but like right now where we are in our timeline and the fact that we finished 32nd, even though we made a lot of improvements and we're close in a lot of games, I mean, next season's going to be a whole nother ball game. Like we have no idea what next season is going to look like. We can be hopeful about what it's going to look like, but if you bring in someone who's in their prime, like I would find it very interesting if he's even in Greer and his management's like, you know, thoughts right now and how they would view a player like this. I mean, all the stuff that we did in this during the trade deadline, we got rid of everybody who was like over the age of 25, you know? So in my eyes, it feels like he doesn't really fit with what we're doing right now. But of course, a player like this doesn't come along that often where they're going to potentially be on the market. And I almost feel like you have to at least consider the possibility, but it would be really interesting to see if he were in the conversation and what kind of deal Greer would feel would fit with how he views the team moving forward. Because something as big as like I just don't see him signing up any player long term just because he has no idea what this well, from my perspective, he has no idea what this team is going to look like. And tying down, of course, these players, I feel like they want to sign contracts, but they have the most security for themselves, you know, with the no movement clauses, the no trade clause and whatever. Like, I feel like perhaps Marner would also be in a position where he's like, I want to be somewhere where I'm going to be wanted and I want to be here for long term. I don't want to, you know, be jumping around from team to team. So I don't know, but going back to when we talked about this previously, I do still feel kind of like if we get him, it wouldn't be like the worst thing in the world, like the stuff that you've already mentioned with it'd be amazing to see him on like the first and second line with our young guys. He's obviously has a knack for making plays and for scoring. So it's not like we don't see why anybody would sign him, but given where we are and how we kind of how the team has kind of been changed in the last couple of months, it is a little peculiar, but I'd roll with it if we ended up getting him.
Yeah, I mean, that's all we can do, right? I think from a fan perspective, if we were to sign him to a big contract, I think what I would be looking at is which prospects we're looking to give up. That, like obviously they'll sign their entry level contracts, whatever, and we'll still be able to keep them. But once those are up and they're up for like an extension or a new contract or whatever, how much will we be able to afford by then? Because the cap space doesn't like increase by that much every year. And we do have a lot of high-end prospects in our pool coming up. 'Cause, like, if I remember correctly, we do have the top prospect pool in the league currently. And that's like, we have to sign Celebrini, Smith, Musty, Dickinson, Holtonen when he comes up, Mukamadulin, all these guys are going to be up for big contract extensions at some point if we keep them around. And if we sign someone like Marner, that means like, how long will we be able to keep them around if we keep Marner? It's the long game that I am not paid to think about in like very detailed, in a detailed sense or whatever, but it is something that I think about.
So I do want to I'm trying to find the information here and I can't seem to locate it, but on a previous, I think it was Steve Dangle, he had mentioned this or another related Leafs podcast, but I want to say that because there was this I think it was last year where there was conversation about one of the years where the Leafs got knocked out yet again in the first round. And here it is. So the year before last, so because he's on his last year before he's a UFA in July, and the last 2 years of his contract, the no movement clause kicks in. I remember there were conversations around like the Leafs fan days when they got knocked out, and it's like, move Marner. Because that would be the time when you'd have the most flexibility because he didn't have a no movement clause for the first 6 years of the current contract that he has that's expiring. Because now if you move him, because we're talking a little bit about like trading and stuff before like free agency opens up in July, he has just about the most control with where he goes and his ability for you to use him as a trading pawn because he has to agree to the move. So I almost feel like, and I would say like I don't feel like I would want Greer to, put in all the chips that are on the table to get this guy, right? But the Leafs are kind of in a position, and I don't know how much Marner feels about, this is the team that he grew up with. He was a Leafs fan, he's from Toronto and all this stuff. Like, I don't know how much good faith you're going to be playing with your current employer if you're feeling like, well, I'm not coming back to this franchise. I'm moving on. And I don't know how much like the players care so much about like how much the receiving team is moving stuff around to get you. I don't know if they really care so much about that aspect of it, but either way, Marner's going to have to agree to where he wants to go given the no movement clause. So I almost feel like we're going to come into an interesting point where if they can't come to an agreement and he walks, it'll be very interesting to see like how his prospects sort of open up once he's kind of free to do whatever he wants. Interesting
It'd be crazy
times.
though, like if he chooses to come out to San Jose. Because like,
when
does a player of this caliber ever choose to come to San Jose?
I think the only leverage we have Like, and this will probably come into like the whole, back in 2018 when we got Eric Carlson, but we were really trying to get John Tavares because we needed that center position to be filled and not necessarily on the fence. But of course, Tavares, the Leafs had the leverage of like, oh, he grew up a Leafs fan and all that stuff, and he wanted to go play for his hometown team or whatever. I mean, Marner's got the connection with Joe Thornton, with Patrick Marleau. When they were out here, they hung out, and they're quite familiar with, I imagine, with the vibes around San Jose. I think if anything, Greer could probably sell him a very good like sandwich that he would find incredibly delicious to come over to California. I mean, the same sort of sandwich he put together for Tyler Toffoli, like Greer's cooking up a mighty meal in the kitchen. I feel like he could probably do it if Greer really wanted Marner to come to San Jose. Like I think the vibes and the sweet talking, the whispering of Mike Greer in people's ears, like he's got that voice. He's got that voice that I feel like if he started his own podcast, his own YouTube channel, like people would tune in to listen to this voice. So I think that's what we've got going for us.
Should we get Mike Greer on the podcast?
Yes.
Just to listen to his voice.
ASMR with Mike Greer.
Giving us a bunch of hockey answers.
Oh, God.
Oh, so good. Hockey ASMR to the next level. Oh, so funny. No, I think it would be interesting. I'd be very curious to sit in a room listening to how Mike Greer convinces people to come here. How much money would you pay for that? I wouldn't pay for it, but I would like to sit in there. All right.
I would bring my own chair. That's how much I would pay for it.
We head on to the next pillow, blanket. Let me get some snacks. Let me get comfy. It's going to take a while. You have any last things to say before we head on to the next topic?
No. I think if anything, the Hurricanes probably need to wake up before they get swept by the Panthers. So that's that.
Dude, they've been doing so bad. I was just looking at the scores. And like the Panthers have been really dominating all the games. The first one they won 5-2. The second one, I think, wait, it's not loading for me. I don't know. But then the Canes got shut out the third game, like 6-0 or something. Oh no, second one was 5-0, and then they played yesterday was 6-2. So they play again tomorrow, I believe. And we'll see if the Canes can do something or if they're gonna get kicked out in 4 games. Silly guys. But yeah, okay, so before we move on to our next... Oh my god! We're good. It's just my light wanted to attack me. Okay. Gonna do our little ad read, talk about our sponsors. The fastest game on ice just hit another gear. Welcome to the Stanley Cup playoffs, where legends are made and every shift could turn the tide. And now, with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can take every slapshot breakaway and overtime thriller to the next level. New to betting on the Stanley Cup playoffs? You're in for an exciting time. Getting started is a breeze. Fire up the DraftKings Sportsbook app, pick your team to win, lock in your wager, and you're off to the races. It's fast, simple, and puts you right in the middle of the action. Here's the kicker. New customers who bet just $5 will score $300 in bonus bets if their wager hits. That's right, turn $5 into playoff payout. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN. That's promo code THPN to unlock $300 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Wait, when your $5 bet wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive rewards. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, the dkng.co/audio. Copyright 2025 NHL. All right. Let us see what the numbers are looking like for tomorrow for the NHL. Like we mentioned, the Hurricanes will be up against the Panthers, and it looks like the Panthers are at negative 180 on the money line, and the Hurricanes are at a plus 150 because nobody is expecting the Canes to win currently. Oh, jeez. There it goes again. All right. Today's great. Today is one of those days. As we're recording, the Oilers and the Stars are playing, and it looks like the Oilers are up 2-0, so we'll see who ends up winning that game today and takes the series lead. Who are we rooting for? The Stars, I think.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to our guys, which is a little quick update of sorts. Because I'm still kind of bitter about that comment that TSN person made about the Sharks. Let me tell you something. With a good team, with experienced players, Ryan Warsofsky was able to take the U.S. World's team, whatever, to the finals, which they're currently playing. I don't know what the score is looking like right now. But they're currently playing against Switzerland. And this was the first time they've made it there in 91 years. Still 0-0? Well, that's silly. Well, that's how good the game is. That's how evenly matched they are. Can you imagine? I hadn't thought about that. USA hasn't made it to the final for the gold medal game in 91 years. This is the first time in 91 years. And we have Will Smith on the team, Ryan Warsofsky's coaching, Thomas Speer's there, and Nick Gialdini. I don't know what his position is on the coaching staff, but he's also there.
I think we also need to pour out a beer for the Canadian team that got knocked out by Denmark the other day, who then Sweden knocked out of the bronze medal match. So Sweden's bronze medalist for this year's Men's World. But I didn't get to catch the Canadian game, but I guess they were up. They were beating Denmark until the last ticking seconds coming down of the third period. And then when I saw who was playing in net, I was like, that's the reason why they lost. Should have played Fleury. How you gonna let Flower down like that? The man was supposed to retire from hockey, and he's like, let me just go for this one last run for the Men's Worlds. And then you got to go and put in Jordan Bennington. So if you haven't checked in on Canada lately, you may want to check in on Canada because they might not be doing so well, getting knocked out in the quarterfinals. The quarterfinals.
Yeah. How fun for the Canadian team that Fleury and Crosby got to play together one last time before Fleury retired. But also how silly of it that Fleury and Celebrini played on the same team when Fleury was the goalie in net when Celebrini scored his very first career hat trick. So, right? Is that right?
I think so.
Are you making that up?
It may be. You may be making it up because I can't quite remember it. But either way, check in on your Canadian friends.
Just fun facts.
They might not be feeling so well.
They'll be fine. They win a lot of other championships. In the same sort of on the same sort of topic about the Sharks, I did want to share this graphic that you wanted to share with everyone. Ranking the best NHL team names with Sean, how do you say that? McIndoe and James Myrtle. Was this? Yeah, this is part of the Athletic. They I guess they asked people, subscribers, to rank their favorite team names in the NHL, and looky here, look who is number one! Yay, we're number one at something else other than prospect pool. Not that this matters, but Sharks were ranked number one with the Wild ranked last, which I think is really funny because I think they have one of the coolest logos in the league, but not the coolest name. I think, honestly, I'm surprised the Kraken made it so low.
Middle of the pack.
Also, I don't like that the Canadians are third because that is one of the most boring names. Canadians as a hockey team name.
I mean, I would say if they were being ranked by the nickname, the Habs, then I would be like, okay, like number 3 feels fitting for that. But I mean, granted, we know we're biased on this podcast. Of course, we would choose number 1 because we feel it in our hearts and then in our biases. But other than that, I don't really have too much of a feeling otherwise with like the makeup of this list. I mean, obviously people kind of, you know, they're either voting for their favorite teams or they're trying to, you know, be neutral and look at it without biases. I guess I'm actually kind of surprised that the Sharks were ranked number 1 because definitely people feel like other names on here are probably like super awesome, or maybe people have more feelings around like the logos because given like the Red Wings are like way up there, I know people kind of just have the feelings in regards to like the original 6 and whatever, which is interesting that there's not a whole lot of them up here on the list. So either way, kudos to these almost 10K responses from subscribers who chose the Sharks out of the entire league. We know, we are awesome.
Well, there's 4 of the original 6 in the top 10, no? The Red Wings, Canadians, Bruins, and Maple Leafs.
I mean, I would just expect it to be much higher.
Oh, yes, I suppose. I don't like that the Golden Knights are number 9 because I really hate that name. It's so long. It's such a mouthful. Golden Knights. It doesn't even roll off the tongue. It's not a cool name.
Why not even just Knights. They have to be golden.
No, for real. What other one kind of surprised me? Honestly, the Mammoth being at 19, I thought that was kind of a cool name. I would have ranked them higher. Mammoth.
I'm surprised that people aren't the whole of the Blackhawks fandom didn't come in here and score their team number 1.
Yeah, I would have ranked them much lower. much lower, right next to the Wild.
I'd make a new category for them.
Racist ass. Anyways, oh, I shouldn't have stopped sharing. There's this silly little meme. If you'd like to go over what this is.
So I have to give kudos to Nate for finding this and sharing it with me. I just find this so funny. Because if you haven't been watching Worlds, of course, Celebrini is on the team and Sidney Crosby, and I haven't been watching the most recent games. I don't know if they've made line changes or whatever, but Celebrini's been playing with Crosby. There was a clip that I saw earlier this week where Crosby passed to Celebrini for a breakaway. He scored on Markstrom, and it was just all together beautiful. It's just really, really exciting to not only have Celebrini have this opportunity to play with his idol. It kind of gave me flashes of like when Tomas Hertl got to play with why does his name escape me? Jaromir Jagr, who was his idol. Yeah. So this is like I don't even know how I would feel. Not that I really have like an idol or whatever, but I don't know, like dude's like what, 18, 19 now? Like he's like living his best life. This is insane how he gets to have this opportunity. And granted, well, Canada didn't get to go all the way, but I'm sure he's going to take so much from this experience with playing with a 3-time Stanley Cup champion, his idol, a guy who still can play the game to the highest level. And but all this previous regular season, Tyler Foley's kind of been like the uncle, like on the road dad for Will Smith and Macklin Celebrini. So in this graphic that we're seeing, it's one that's been used a lot, where it's like the mom with the kid in the pool playing with the kid, and meanwhile there's another kid right next to her that's like needs help, looks like they're potentially like they need help, and on the verge of drowning. And that kid is labeled Tyler Toffoli, so he's just been abandoned. Like, who are you? New phone, who this? And then the bottom of the meme is a skeleton down at the bottom of the sea, and that is Rick Celebrini.
What? That's not my dad.
Bro, who's
So
like
silly.
he's
too busy with the Warriors
Macklin's
anyway.
Macklin Celebrini, the perfect home, the care to nurture his dreams, and no one's talking about Rick Celebrini anymore.
No, who is that guy? It's so funny. Everyone's his dad. Yeah, that's pretty much all NHL talk we have for today. Quick update on PWHL stuff. The Frost in Ottawa, the Frost and the Charge still playing their finals. It looks like the Frost have taken a 2-1 series lead. I believe they play again tomorrow, so we will find out if the Frost will become champions the second year in a row, or if the Charge are gonna put up a fight and tie up the series again. With the PWHL, it's a best of 5 series, not like NHL where it's a best of 7. So whoever gets to 3 wins first wins. We're still rooting for the Charge, but we'll see. Yep.
Go Charge.
That's that. Woohoo! Last thing I wanted to share. I found this ad that came up on my Instagram the other day. For those of you who are anywhere near San Francisco, there is going to be a street hockey league starting this summer. Details at Dolores Park, $60 on Saturdays, 11 a.m. or 1 p.m. I should have paused that. Anyways, if check it out. It says it's a summer league. New players of all skill levels are welcome. Tremendous vibes, sunny days, ice cold beers, and a friendly and competitive atmosphere. Includes a draft, stats, standings, and playoffs. Come join the best hockey community in the Bay Area. There is a link in the bio. I found this through... Oh, it looks like deadline to sign up is in a couple of days. So, like, by Tuesday the 27th, you should be able to sign up. If you find them on Instagram, Bay Area Street Hockey, you can find the link to sign up. If you're anywhere near the city. If not, whatever, find one near where you are. But that's pretty much cool. What I have to share. Any last things from you? Yeah. Have you been doing any beer league lately? Or did you give up on that?
No, not currently. One closing update that No, I'm just not doing it right now. I've been doing it for over like 10 years. One last thing I wanted to do was update everybody on Chanel's GoFundMe. So it's been going on since last week, and it's been really exciting to kind of like keep track of this. She's currently 56% along the way, have raised 14,587K towards her goal of 26K. If you didn't watch or listen to our episode last time, we talked about this GoFundMe. The link is in the description for that episode. If you're not familiar with Chanel, we've had her on a number of times for the podcast. She's been doing a lot of great things for inclusivity and accessibility within sports, and then more specifically in hockey. Lovely, lovely person. Once again, I just wanted to put a signal boost out there. Go check out her GoFundMe. Go read her story. She's trying to raise money to replace her accessible van that unfortunately can no longer be repaired, and is just really just something that is very much important for her day-to-day life. But it's really cool to see that so many folks have already donated, and she's getting so close to her goal.
Yeah, if you guys follow us on socials, on Blue Sky or Twitter, you can find the link in our last post from last week. Or if you follow her on socials, you can go ahead and find the link there. So help out if you can, or share the link. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it for me. I don't know if I have anything to share. Just a quick little fun update, because we are keeping track of women's sports still. The Valkyries are the first team since the expansion, I forget what year, since expansion, that have won their first 2 games out of 3. So they're doing pretty good. I haven't been able to catch any games since that first one, but they seem to be doing all right, you know? Good for them.
I've been trying to promote them.
That's all.
To my coworker who's a big Warriors fan. One of these days he's gonna be able to catch a game.
And they've been selling out their games. Like, I'm still looking to attend one of these days. I'll let you know how that goes whenever it happens. All right. Guess that's it for this week. The US versus Switzerland game is still 0-0. It looks like the Oilers are still up 2-0 at the moment. First period still going on, if it hasn't ended already. We'll see how that ends, and yeah, we'll catch you guys next week. I've been your host, Ness.
And I'm Jay.
Catch y'all next time. Bye.